At the Eyrie. While wandering through the snow-covered courtyards of the Eyrie, Sansa finds comfort in building a delicate snow replica of Winterfell, recreating the home she longs for. As she carefully shapes the towers and walls, Robin arrives and seems genuinely impressed by her efforts. Their interaction begins pleasantly, with Robin showing curiosity about her creation. However, the mood shifts when Robin asks where the moon door is. Sansa explains that Winterfell doesn't need a moon door, but to appease him, she agrees to add one. In the process, Robin accidentally knocks over one of the towers. When he demands that she fix it immediately, Sansa grows irritated. Robin, frustrated by her refusal, throws a tantrum and demolishes the snow replica in a fit of rage. Overcome by anger, Sansa impulsively slaps him across the face. Almost immediately, guilt washes over her, and she tries to apologize, but Robin, furious and humiliated, threatens to tell his mother before running away. Petyr Baelish witnesses the entire exchange and steps in to comfort Sansa, assuring her that he will handle Lysa, commenting that Robin's behavior stems from Lysa's failure to discipline him properly. As Petyr speaks, he reflects on how he should have been Sansa's father, and then gazes at her with unsettling admiration. He tells Sansa that she is even more beautiful than her mother, Catelyn, before leaning in and kissing her. Sansa, shocked and frozen with disbelief, does not resist. Unbeknownst to them, Lysa stands nearby, witnessing the kiss, her reaction concealed beneath a growing storm of jealousy and rage. Later, Sansa is summoned to Lysa's chambers, where she is met with an unsettling atmosphere. Lysa's eyes gleam with a disturbing mix of jealousy and malice, as she takes pleasure in recounting the gruesome details of moon door executions. Stories of people screaming and flailing as they plummeted through the opening to their deaths on the jagged rocks below. As Sansa listens in growing horror, Lysa's tone darkens. Without warning, she grabs Sansa by the arms and drags her toward the moon door, her voice sharp with accusation. Lysa's jealousy boils over as she accuses Sansa of seducing Petyr with that kiss. Terrified, Sansa struggles against her grip, pleading for her life, as Lysa leans her dangerously close to the edge of the yawning chasm. Just as Sansa's fate seems sealed, Petyr arrives. His voice is calm but edged with urgency, as he swears by everything he holds dear that he will send Sansa away, promising that she will never trouble Lysa again. After a tense pause, Lysa's grip loosens, and she releases Sansa, who stumbles away, trembling. Lysa turns to Petyr, tears in her eyes, as he steps forward and draws her into a reassuring embrace. He speaks softly, telling Lysa that he has only ever loved one woman in his life. Relief and hope flicker across Lysa's face, until Petyr finishes his sentence, "Your sister." Lysa's eyes widen in stunned betrayal, but she has only a moment to process the words before Petyr's expression hardens. With a swift, calculated motion, he pushes her through the moon door. Lysa's scream echoes through the chamber as she plunges into the abyss, her figure disappearing into the fog below. Petyr steps calmly to the edge, peering down into the depths, his face unreadable as he watches Lysa's body vanish into the void. In King's Landing, while confined to his cell, Tyrion engages in a tense conversation with Jaime about his impending fate. They reflect on the bitter irony that, should Jaime agree to be Tyrion's champion and fail, Lord Tywin would ultimately be responsible for the downfall of both his heirs. Jaime, however, declines Tyrion's desperate request, admitting that his fighting skills have significantly diminished since losing his right hand, leaving him unable to defend Tyrion effectively in combat. Faced with this setback, Tyrion turns to another potential savior. He urges Jaime to summon Bronn, the cunning and battle-hardened sellsword, who had previously secured Tyrion's life through trial by combat at the Eyrie. Tyrion hopes that Bronn's loyalty and unmatched combat prowess will once again tip the scales in his favor and secure his survival. In another part of King's Landing, Gregor Clegane, infamously known as the Mountain, is ruthlessly cutting down prisoners with his massive greatsword. Displaying his brutal strength and merciless nature, Cersei approaches him, her expression laced with cold satisfaction, and expresses her gratitude for his swift return to the capital to serve as her champion in the upcoming trial by combat. Unfazed by the bloodshed around him, Gregor calmly asks who he will be facing in the trial. Cersei, with a knowing smile, responds with a question of her own. "Does it matter?" Gregor, his face as impassive as ever, simply shakes his head, his confidence and indifference toward his opponent reinforcing the terrifying reputation that precedes him. Bronn visits Tyrion in his cell, now dressed in the fine clothes of a lord, a clear sign of his newfound status. Tyrion quickly learns that Cersei has orchestrated Bronn's betrothal to Lolly Stokeworth, securing him both wealth and a comfortable future. When Tyrion asks Bronn to fight as his champion once more, Bronn hesitates before politely declining. He explains that while he values Tyrion's friendship, the reward for facing Gregor Clegane, the Mountain, simply isn't worth the risk. Bronn acknowledges that Clegane's size, strength, and brutality make him too dangerous an opponent, even for a skilled fighter like himself. Despite the rejection, Tyrion recognizes Bronn's pragmatic nature and holds no resentment. Though heartbroken by the loss of his last hope, Tyrion understands Bronn's decision and bids him a somber farewell. Later, Tyrion receives an unexpected visit from Oberyn Martell, who begins by expressing his long-standing disappointment over their first encounter. Oberyn recalls how, as children, he and his sister Elia were told chilling tales of the Lannister monster, a grotesquely deformed creature born into one of Westeros's most powerful families. During a childhood visit to Castley Rock, Oberyn and Elia were formally introduced to Tyrion by Cersei herself, who presented him with a cruel sense of ceremony. However, upon seeing Tyrion, Oberyn saw no monster, just a helpless baby. Cersei, already brimming with resentment, accused Tyrion of murdering their mother in childbirth, and proceeded to torment the infant until Jaime intervened to stop her. Oberyn admits that he and Elia were deeply unsettled by Cersei's intense hatred toward Tyrion, even at such a young age. Tyrion, visibly shaken by this reminder of Cersei's lifelong animosity, feels his eyes well up with tears. Shifting the conversation, Oberyn confides that his visit to King's Landing is driven by a quest for justice for the brutal murder of his sister Elia. When Tyrion bitterly remarks, "You are in the wrong place," Oberyn counters with calm certainty, declaring that he is exactly where he needs to be, surrounded by those responsible for Elia's death. With quiet resolve, Oberyn announces his intention to start his revenge with Gregor Clegane, the very man who murdered Elia and her children. In a bold and unexpected gesture, Oberyn offers to stand as Tyrion's champion in the trial by combat, determined to face the Mountain and finally claim justice for his sister. In Meereen, Daenerys is caught off guard when Daario unexpectedly appears in her private chambers. Though she pretends to be outraged by his intrusion, she ultimately allows him to voice his grievances. Daario expresses frustration, claiming that his only true talents lie in killing men and seducing women. Yet in Meereen, he finds himself with no real opportunity to engage in either. Daenerys counters by reminding him that the Second Sons serve as the city's peacekeepers, and that plenty of women in Meereen would eagerly welcome his advances. However, Daario dismisses his current duties as uninspiring, and insists that the only woman he desires remains unattainable. He implores Daenerys to let him and the Second Sons engage in true warfare. Instead of addressing his request, Daenerys focuses on his other professed skill and orders him to remove his clothes. The next morning, Daario crosses paths with Ser Jorah, smugly remarking that it's an ideal time to speak with the Queen, since she is in an exceptionally good mood, strongly implying their night together. Jorah, clearly displeased, refrains from commenting, but Daenerys swiftly dismisses any concerns regarding her personal affairs.